Our children leave us 100% kindergarten ready based on not just our internal research, but those through our partners that fund us. That's huge.
That's
Most
really
children
huge.
in Tennessee are not even reading at the proper age level by 4th or 5th grade.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Missions That Made Them. I am your host, Jason Verdelli. This isn't just a podcast, but rather it's a movement. It's a movement designed to make the world a better place by bringing more awareness to the great work of the people and organizations making a difference. And more importantly, how you can help. We live in a world today surrounded by a narrative in the media that focuses in on negativity and draws attention to the problems, but not the solutions. Our guests represent the solutions, not the problems. And with that, I am super excited today to introduce our guests, Alyssa DiToro with McNeilly Center for Children. And these guys are just doing absolutely amazing things for families to help children everywhere from 6 weeks all the way up to 5 years. I have a 4.5-year-old right now at home, and I can think what it was like at 6 weeks, just the management of that and all the things that go into that. And it's obviously it's a tough point in time, obviously for some new parents especially. So I'm super excited to dive in to learn what they're about, and more importantly, again, how you can help, how you, the listener, the listener, the watcher of this interview, how you can be a part of the solution, how you can support them. And I think together, collectively, we have the ability to make this world a greater place by doing so. Without further ado, though, let's jump right in. So, Alyssa, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me on today.
Excellent. So, Alyssa, tell us a little about the McNeilly Center for Children and just everything you guys do.
Yes. So McNeely is on 5 acres in East Nashville. So from where we sit, we can see downtown. And we've been right on this spot since 1916, providing childcare for those that need us most. I love that story because I think of what in the world has happened since 1916, wars, depressions. A lot has happened, and we have been that continuity for not only this current generation, but those before it. We have those that are dropping their grandchildren off to us. And I know that it's just really reassuring for them to know like this, something that was really great for them in their previous iterations of life as a parent or a niece or a cousin dropping someone off. We're still here for that. And more importantly, while we provide early childcare services, we are really trying to bring our families out of poverty and make new generational molds for our families as well. So through our family engagement coordinator and our family empowerment program, our families can really set goals for themselves. Maybe you are ready to get your GED. Maybe you're ready to go to college or get your driver's license. We have the staff here to help you with those goals as well. And I think that's what makes us really unique.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I thought it was really cool too, checking out your website that you help out the parents, because obviously you're providing the services to the children but the parents also need that help, right? They're going back to school or they're in job training and other things that you mentioned on your website there. I think that's just so cool.
Absolutely. We all know what it's like to need somebody, right? Care, whether you have a young child or not, care is something that we need throughout our lives. But more importantly, our youngest citizens can't advocate for themselves. It's up to my team here to do that for them. And also advocate for our parents when they need it. Parenting's scary. I have my own child. He just turned 5. There's a lot to navigate. Some of our families are really afraid to reach out for help and assistance, whether their child might be struggling with something. And so I think the more people we have in our village, the more we feel supported and we can just be our full selves, which is what we all want for our children, right?
Right. Well, and I think the biggest thing too is knowing that you're not alone. big part of the solution here is and I love about doing this podcast because you just get introduced to all sorts of nonprofits, right? Like just the understanding all the different services that are available right at our fingertips, but it's just knowing that you have that community support and not just for your children and everything, but also for yourself as you go through different times of your life. Yes. And I could totally relate to you having you have a 5-year-old, I have a 4-year-old. So it's they keep moving. That's for sure. They keep getting faster and jump higher and everything else. So it
and more importantly, we are building those that will care for us. These are future teachers, doctors, lawyers, congressmen, everybody, musicians, authors. We have to really encourage them and grow their brains. And more importantly, I try to have people remember what it was like to be a child and that sense of wonder and remembering what it is like to have that. And so many of our children don't have that, unfortunately. They're coming from really hard situations. Some of them might have a parent incarcerated. They might be living in transitional housing. These are really big adverse childhood experiences. And so we've got a really heavy duty, but an important one to mitigate those and create something different for our families and our children. Yeah.
So Alyssa, one of the things I always want to understand is sort of how you got to where you're at and what really drove you to the McNeilly Center for Children.
Yes.
So can you tell us that story?
Absolutely. I have been in Nashville about 9 years and have always heard about McNeely and known that it's a really quality nonprofit. And so when I knew that they were looking for a new executive director, I felt like I had the skills that they needed and the fundraising capabilities. My background is in early childhood education. It's all I've ever done. And my graduate degree is in urban studies. So figuring out how the inner city can better advocate for itself and elevating the lives of those that live within the urban community. And so McNeely is the best place for me to do that, right here in the heart of Nashville, and ensuring that the children that most need us, the underserved, and the community of color are getting what they need to excel in life.
That's awesome. You know, and what I really love about what I see consistently is how people kind of get to where they're at, and what draws them to the organization is that everything is really connected to their personal mission and personal purpose. You know, and I think that's it's key to find those things in life. I feel, because it draws you to the things that are going to really provide you with those enriching experiences in a career. You know, so going back to that, I guess, you know, what were you seeing before? Where do you see the gap right now with what McNeilly Center is doing, and then just maybe the gap with sort of maybe communities that don't have this same opportunity?
Well, the main issue is that we don't treat early childhood education as a public good in our country. We know that the return on investment for early childhood education is 13%. Which is a lot better than most business decisions that people make and invest their money in. Additionally, 62% of women that have a child under 1 are in the workplace. It makes good business sense to make sure your employees can come to work and that they have safe, reliable childcare. Yeah. And so the biggest gap right now is for myself and others who are advocates for early childhood to really help those that, whether you have children or not, understand that this is very crucial. It's very important for the infrastructure of not only our city, but our country as we grow and want to remain competitive with our competitors in every single way. Yeah.
Well, and I like what you say too. It's really something. The return on investment is there. What do you say? It was 13%.
Yeah.
So, and how do they get that? I'm just curious. How do they find these studies done?
Yes, there's lots of lovely longitudinal studies done on the benefit of early childhood education, but more importantly, play-based social emotional learning centers like McNeely. Our children leave us 100% kindergarten ready based on not just our internal research, but those through our partners that fund us. That's huge.
That's
Most
really
children
huge.
in Tennessee are not even reading at the proper age level by 4th or 5th grade. Our children are leaving with amazing vocabulary words. They were talking about mobility when I walked into one of our classrooms earlier, our 3-year-old room. What is mobility? What does that look like? What are some things that have mobility? Really great conversations. And remembering that we cannot push learning down, right? You have to excite and ignite the mind before it will learn. Our job is to make lifelong learners, not teach them rote and images and memory. We are supposed to inspire and really excite them.
Well, I agree 100%. I think it's, if you can provide, you provide the environment for the children where they want to do it, and also I'm a big proponent on having the control of that education, not always coming in from the government or the top down, so to speak, and saying, hey, this is what you have to learn. This is everything else. Whereas if you believe in the organization that you have the organization like yours, which has the ability to control that and to adjust that learning experience, I think that's really a big part of the solution, I think, in today's society.
Absolutely. And we've got to encourage our children to do more hands-on learning. I love when people come to McNeely and they get to see our chickens. We have some lovely domesticated hens. We have a monarch garden. We have huge, like I said, we sit on almost 5 acres where our children can grow and run around and explore. They're not doing sheets. They're really getting excited, getting their hands dirty. Anytime you look at our social media, you can see they're stomping in the mud and running around. And that's what childhood is for. And more importantly, that's what adulthood can be for. We should be having fun and excited about life every day as well with the kids. And I think for me and my staff, that's what makes this job the best, is we get to see a sense of wonder every single day, whereas a lot of people don't see that in their job.
I agree 100%. I mean, I think the biggest thing right now is that you go from this thing of childhood where it's okay to be dirty and okay to make mistakes and okay to whatever. And then all of a sudden we get to like this adulthood period. Yeah. And all of a sudden now it's like, okay, wait a minute. You messed up, you failed, or, the society in itself, I think, has a way of looking down upon those things, if you, again, for failure or trying things and say, okay, well, that person, and I'm not saying this is everybody. I'm not saying it's for the optimists out there. Obviously, this isn't you, but it can be very discouraging, I think, for an organization or for a person to say, hey, I'm going to try something new. I'm actually going to follow my passion. And I think that's a big thing, too, is if you're instilling that at a young age, they say, what is it? I think it was on your website somewhere, but it said like the first 3 years of children. They're the most transformative years of a child's brain. Actually, the person throughout their entire life, it's the most transformative years. So, but if you think about it, you're doing, which is a huge part of the solution, is you're creating the environment, you're creating the platform and the foundation for them. So as they become in their 20s and 30s and 40s, they're like
true new society. And when you think about it like that, like people are like, why do you work with little kids? And I'm like, do you understand? We are shaping our future citizens into a more equitable, kind, passionate, empathetic world. And that for me is so exciting. I know a few weeks ago, I walked into one of our classrooms and there was a child crying, and the other children, without being prompted from their teacher, stopped their day to check on another child. These are 4-year-olds, 4-year-olds doing this. I don't know many adults that go out of their way to check on someone else and say, hey, you look like you're really struggling. How can I best support you? And so when I see those things happen with little people, that's what really drives me, makes me passionate, and gives me goosebumps. Because I'm like, if they're doing this at 4, think about these children at 14, at 24. Think about the cognitive equilibrium that they'll have to make wise choices. Think about the advocacy work that they can do for the people that don't always have the ability to speak for themselves. And so I know for me, I get excited about being almost geriatric and watching these kids kind of take this world by storm, really, with just so many more tools than we ever had.
we're really, and I think I'm approaching 40 at the moment. So it's looking at that and saying, oh, how do we learn? How can we learn from the 4-year-olds? Right.
Oh
So
my gosh.
the
Yes.
people that are going through these programs and man, are they learning everything about empathy and learning everything about creating a better society. And I think that right there also gives us hope, because it's, when you see this is, organizations like yours, I look at that, if you could take that at a mass scale, if every society, every area could do this, you're the future leaders of our country are going to have a completely different viewpoint that we have no idea what that really is going to end up being.
No idea. I think about it. I'm like, do you know what negotiations will look like with all these people that are just so calm, reassured, know how to handle conflict appropriately, understand what to do with their big emotions. I mean, it's like I said, I see it here, but even in my own home, right? It's humbling to watch my 5-year-old the other day was like, Mom, that was not a nice tone. We need to try, and man, how humbling is that to be like, dang it, this is, you're right. I need to try again. But one, I love that you feel safe enough to say that, right? You feel safe enough in this relationship to say, hey, I didn't like that, because I never felt that way as a child. But more importantly, that you knew, like, this isn't appropriate and we need to try again. So I love when they catch us telling them the same things we tell them, because I'm like, yep, you're right. It is constantly humbling, as you know, even as a parent, but it is incredibly humbling when you have almost 200 little people all the time to tell you really what you're doing right and wrong.
That's got to be a unique experience, because I don't ever remember my childhood being that way. Now I went through and I didn't go through that exact experience, but it's, if you can learn that, if they can learn that early, which they are there, it's part of your programming I think that the society, the world, if the world could take, even just understand, like, pick your brain a little bit on some of the programming.
Well, I don't think people realize most of your life is soft skills. Your executive skills that are, those are not what keep you in a job. That's not what keeps you thriving in life. It is your soft skills, your people skills, how you interact with others. That is where people thrive. And so I always tell our families, it's great if your 5-year-old can speak Mandarin Chinese, but if they don't know how to handle their emotions, that's not a useful skill, right?
No. Yeah, you could be the most talented person, you could be everything else, but man, if you cannot communicate that appropriately, it's
people want to be around you.
Yeah, or it's things like empathy. It's things like being able to listen. Just those types of skills. I mean, it's like you want to take these, the people out in society that we see on the news and everything else, and you're like, hey, people, why don't you go to the McNeilly Center and take a lesson from some of the students there, because they're going to teach you something about really what solution-oriented programming is about, because we get programmed as we get older, right? Actually, as we're young, we're really programmed. Right.
And it becomes harder and you become less malleable as you get older.
Yes.
And so I want people to understand that the work we're doing here, and people, yes, we're providing early childhood educational services, but really we're doing some really amazing work. We've seen some great changes within our children. We have some love. I mean, we have teachers that have been here 30, 40 years, which is just crazy to me. I mean, that's a long time to commit to somewhere, and saying,
it is, I
believe in this place. I believe in its mission. I believe in its vision, and I am here for life. I'm here. I'm committed. I love that, man. I wish you were here right now, because it is truly such a special place. It is such a refuge for so many of our families that have a lot going on. And as I said, so many of our children have adverse childhood experiences. And I love that we can be that for them. They come in the door and they know that they have extra support. They know they have a safe place to land. And more importantly, when you know you have somewhere safe, you can really start to grow in other ways. If
Yeah.
you're in that fight or flight kind of mind frame some of our children are in, they're not hearing. You can't learn or teach or grow in that way. And so care, in the act of caring, what we do is actually a skill. It's truly, I mean, not everybody can stay in a classroom with 14 or 15 small people that need them and have multiple different needs. And right. I mean, it is a magical what they're doing. It is not for the light, for the weak. And I always say, if you think you can be a preschool teacher, I invite you to come see what my staff does all day.
Yeah, that my son right now goes to preschool, and I just think I see the pictures, I see everything that they're getting dirty, they're doing all this other stuff, but every kid kind of has their own at that age, especially that you're programming them.
Yeah, their own wants, their own needs, their own family dynamic, their own things that make them tick. And maybe you didn't sleep well last night, and maybe you didn't eat enough breakfast, and you can't communicate that. So it's up to this magic maker, this true magic maker, to figure out these wants, these needs, and how to best support this child, right? When their safe place is gone, how do we become that next safe place? And I know that our families, the feedback has just been phenomenal in the last few months of what would we do without you, especially with the pandemic and being distant from people.
Yeah, and they clearly are miracle workers. I mean, those are the true miracle workers as adults, especially. I mean, we get to deal with adults, which sometimes can be in my world, it could be challenging some days, but it's not near the level of attention and listening and empathy that you have to have in that age to teach at that age, right? To influence a child that early,
to make you feel safe, and then say, now that your brain is safe, let's see what we can learn together today, right? This is a partnership. And I think that people forget that. And that's something that's different is you're not teaching to children or at them, right? You really have to be able to see where their passion lies and where they are excited about kind of taking the lesson. And so I think that is something our staff does really well as well. Yeah.
And I truly see everything that you're doing really is a part of the solution, right? Everything we talk about here in this podcast, which is all about, how can you become part of the solution and not the problem? So it's everything you're doing. If every single community could do that, take a chance, go to your website, and find out what you guys are doing. And obviously if you're in the area, or if you're in the area and you don't have children, or if you do, if you believe, here's what I would say. If you believe, Simon Sinek, I think he always says, if people believe what you believe, they'll follow you. They'll do anything.
Yep.
So if you believe in a better tomorrow, you believe that we have the ability to support an organization that's programming kids in the right way, right? Where education isn't coming from the top down. If you are tired of that model, which I think a lot of people are these days, this is an organization that you need to support. Absolutely. 100%. So, how can somebody listening to this, that's intrigued, first off, share your website, but then more importantly, how can they get involved? I believe in this 100%. What are some of the methods, donations, volunteerism, and what options do people have to support you?
So our website, it's just McNeilly Center for Children. We're the only one, so we'll pop right up. We do have a fundraiser coming up April 10th, a tennis event that we are currently fundraising for. But on the website, you can find our Amazon wish list that we constantly update with large items, small items that people can donate. I've had some really, really great conversations with people not in Nashville via Zoom that want to volunteer with us virtually, maybe recording stories or doing some virtual tours of where they live, or maybe they have a cool hobby or career. Maybe you're a beekeeper and you would like to talk to our children. But I've had some really great Zoom conversations with people who are interested in kind of donating to us and seeing their dollars do some good on the ground, whether they're here or not. And so, people are always welcome to email me. My email is just alyssa.deturo@mcneillycenter.org. And I'm on LinkedIn, and I have the only name of mine, so it's really easy to find me.
That's awesome. So Alyssa, it's been great having you on. I think
Thank you, Jason.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for anybody listening that truly believes in a better way to educate our children, to educate the future leaders of tomorrow, if you are, as Alyssa had mentioned, if you are somebody that has a skill or that wants to be able to volunteer, to be able to become part of this mission, part of this solution, then take action today. Take action today. I think the biggest thing that you can possibly do as a listener, as somebody that believes in being part of the solution and not the problem, this is absolutely a great organization to support. But again, it's all ultimately going to be to our own benefit, right? Down as the evolution of society takes place. We're going to have greater leaders. We're going to have leaders that are empathetic, that can listen. We're going to have. This is going to be a part of our society. So, what a better way if you have your own money.
Movies aren't going anywhere.
No, they're not. Yeah. Well, and somebody like me who's not maybe the best with teaching per se. I have 100% appreciation for all of that work. But even somebody like myself, who doesn't have maybe some of those skills to teach to that audience, especially that's a whole different world in that. But donating your dollars, what a better way than to support an organization, to become part of that. Man, you don't get a better feeling than to donate some of your hard-earned money into something that's going to return on an investment, not only for to make you feel better, but also for society as a whole. Right, 13%. Right. That there's actually a return on investment to better education. Listen, anything else before we jump off here?
No, it was awesome speaking with you. I'm always excited when people will let me talk about McNeely and the great work that my team does.
Yeah. Well, and as I see it too, it's just fascinating to know that there's so many great organizations like yours that are out there. And that's really the point of this podcast, is to bring light of it. To have it as a jump off point for, being part of the solution. So go to the website, check out everything that your organization is doing, become involved. That's really what we're doing here at the Missions That Made Them, is to bring awareness to the great work that everybody is doing. And Alyssa, your organization is absolutely a part of that group. So excited to have you, and more importantly, for anybody else out there, you have the ability right now to become part of the solution just by sharing, just by taking this video and sharing it up on YouTube, share it out to your social media, share it to your email list. Share it to as many people as you possibly can. If you truly believe that. Yeah. If you truly believe that in being a part of the solution of education, and work partnering with organizations that can truly program their own education, that have a very good solid belief in what the future holds. They're very optimistic. If you believe in a better future tomorrow, again, click the share button here. Be sure to subscribe to the Missions That Made Them here, wherever this is at, wherever you're listening on to here. And more importantly, again, today, make sure you go and check out the McNeilly Center for Children. Again, Google it if you can't. If you're not thinking of the spelling right now, just go Google it. Like I said, it's the first thing that pops up. So, Alyssa, thanks again, and for everybody listening, tune in next time.